very good morning and a warm welcome. We'll start with some short language announcements. And so first, going to invite Eva for the Spanish group.
Buenos días. Un recordatorio rápido. Vamos a los controles de la reunión. Desde el dispositivo que estemos utilizando, damos clic a Interpretación de idiomas, seleccionamos el español y opcional, los que queréis escuchar sobre el español, hacéis clic en Silenciar audio original. Thank you.
Thank you. And hello to Meenakshi for Hindi group.
हेलो भाषा अनुवाद के लिए विंडोज और मांगतोष पर अपने पृथ्वी के चित्र के ऊपर क्लिक करें, उसमें हिंदी को क्लिक करें और सिर्फ हिंदी सुनने के लिए ओरिजिनल ऑडियो को म्यूट कर दें। एंड्रॉयड और आईओएस के लिए मीटिंग कंट्रोल में मोर पर क्लिक करें, फिर लैंग्वेज इंटरप्रिटेशन आ जाएगा, उस पर क्लिक करें और हिंदी पर टैप करके डन पर क्लिक कर दें। थैंक यू।
Thank you. And Henna for the Finnish group.
Hei. Eli se käännös, jos on käytössä puhelin, niin siellä on se 3 pistettä ja sen takaa löytyy se käännösvaihtoehto. Sitten tietokoneella niin maapallon kuvasta, niin siitä kun painaa, niin sieltä voi valita sen Finnish. Kiitos. Thank you.
Thank you. And Alina for the Romanian speaking group.
Hello, bună ziua! Pentru traducere, dacă sunteți pe laptop sau pe calculator, vă rog să apăsați simbolul de glob și de acolo selectați limba română. Dacă sunteți pe telefon sau pe tabletă, se apasă cele 3 puncte, apoi Language Interpretation, se selectează limba română și done, se încheie. Mulțumesc! Thank you!
Thank you. And Felisa for the Chinese speaking group.
大家好，晚上好。现在我们要选择语言。用手机的话有3个点，按那个点，然后选那个选择语言。选择了语言之后要选中文，之后要按确认。然后你不想听英文的话，就要进原音。然后用电脑的话，有一个气球，按那个气球，然后按语言选择，选中文就可以了。谢谢。
Thank you. And finally, Stephen for the Western Balkans group.
Good morning. Dobro jutro. Za naše jezike, znači na kompjuterima i Mac uređajima imate znak globusa, a na mobilnim telefonima 3 tačke. Kliknete to, odaberete Language Interpretation, odaberete Western Balkan i mutirate originalni zvuk, to potvrdite. To je to. Okay.
Thank you. So that should be available, and just a reminder to translators to unmute. So we're going to spend a couple of minutes, few minutes watching a drill. It's a meditation drill from Bapdada, and a chance to see the spiritual vision as well. So do keep your eyes open. We'll meet back in a few minutes.
एक सेकंड में एकदम देश से न्यारी powerful
Welcome back. So, this aspect yesterday that was discussed about victory and what is it I need to focus on exactly for victory? Are my reflections on knowledge, churnings leading me to victory? And do I know the game plan? Have I understood clearly who the enemy is and exactly who the friend is and what is the method? So there were many aspects covered, and it'd be interesting to see where it leads to today. Thank you for all the questions. If we don't answer them during the retreat, there'll be a recording in the G Drive, but we'll try our best. So welcome, and welcome to Prashant.
And hello, and good morning. It is so nice to start the day with drishti from Baba and direct words from Madhuban. So you get connected, at another level. We are using the word victory here. On one level, it is a natural state we are coming to, but there is a element of victory because this lower consciousness that we speak about, Ravan, it is stubborn. You may know that other side is in your interest. It is based on truth even. But once we have created this ego doesn't easily give up. It wages a war. So there is an element of battle and victory, and you need to have skills to deal with this. Someone gave a nice image, it is there, there is an insect level, there is a consciousness of insect, and it has got some ideas, what is progress, they're busy, there are survival and idea of good time, but they are on the rotten fruit. An eagle, it is a very, very different game altogether. Eagle knows the sky, and eagle knows the mountains, valleys, and knows the world, and also knows what is happening in the insect world. Also, can come there down, but knows another life altogether. What we are experimenting, and what is encouraged for us is to experience like an eagle. We have to let go of something at another level to discover the eagle. So, is this analogy good enough? An eagle, and let me use the board, whiteboard, if that option. Yeah, excellent, thank you. So if we see our what is happening at a lower level, our consciousness, when we are in the ego. In this consciousness, to start with, it is ignorance. There is blatant, there is ignorance there. Means the starting position itself is wrong. You don't even know what is truth, and you don't even know who you are. Even this ignorance is at an extreme level, in that consciousness. Life is full of constant desires. Desires, aspirations, then unending. Whatever achievement is there are constant desires. With desires come different kinds of sorrows. There is comparison, competition also, but bigger sorrows also. So different kinds of sorrows. And then we use the word vices, the combination of all these different things. They present as vices. Life of ego, we don't like this in anyone else. If someone you are dealing with, if he has got ego, if he has got vices and constant the desperations, desires, we don't think it is a great thing. If this is going on within ourselves, we have to deal with it 24 hours. This life, and this consciousness comes with this package. There is ignorance, sorrows, desires, vices, ego, constantly. This is what is going on all the time. And it doesn't stop either. All these, they increase as time progresses. Ego will just become bigger ego down the line. And the desires, you fulfill the desires, he wants more. So that is that level. In the other consciousness we are talking about, the word used is soul, something just appears to be very simple word, but what happens in this consciousness? At this level, life is, to start with, there is truth. You have knowledge and wisdom. Soul is awake, is conscious. And as a result, he finds himself in a world of immortality. He knows eternity. His life is with God, loved by God, company of God, wisdom of God. He is in that reality. This is a world of happiness. Nature of the soul is happy. And he finds everyone is lovely and loving. This is his experience. The most refined treasures that anyone can look for, he finds they are already there. Like for example, here, everyone is worried about death. This coronavirus and all, they are so worried what may happen to them. They might get an infection, they may die. Here he discovers immortality. It is not just fulfilling desires, he got attained. He feels he doesn't need anything more. He got everything. Internally, he feels full. In a life of wisdom, to understand things in the right way, and to know things, what it is for, as opposed to confusion. And all these are not conditional. We may use the word happy. Someone might say, "Oh, I'm happy anyway." But this happiness is supersensuous. It is not based upon kicks or someone's song. This is like supersensuous happiness. Freedom, for happiness that comes from freedom. And so different game altogether. If you can use the comparison, the insect and the eagle, that comparison, I feel the reality is much, much bigger. This consciousness, the lower consciousness, in this there is constant beggar. Mentality is of a beggar. He constantly wants from everyone, whatever, give me a little bit more respect, give me recognition, something he's begging. And it is a mentality of a victim. Forever, he feels he's a potential victim. These are the lowest denominations in any society. Can you imagine in a society, beggar and a victim, these are lowest. here, the person chooses the mind itself of the beggar and the victim. In this game, never a victim. Life can present many situations. There's birth, death, and many things can happen. Government policies change, but he knows that he's never a victim. He has discovered the sky, the reality beyond. Never a beggar, full. And that's why the nice word to describe this, it's a noble personality. So if we use the parallel for eagle, this is an angel. So when we use the word soul that is conscious is an angel. It's made of the stuff angels are made of. So if that natural state is of love and peace and contentment and happiness and wisdom, we are a race of angels, in other words. And this is what is possible. But even if someone understands it and says, yes, this is so obvious, the lower consciousness gives a fight, in a very, very structured way. And this is why, we need some strategy to deal with that Ravan's life, Ravan's presence. We'll be showing some slides, but before that, we can create some time for some comments, questions.
Thank you. Yesterday, there were a couple of questions about how to manage the enemy. So one from Karen. When you said never argue with the enemy and one should stay light and not cross the line, could you explain what kind of communication is needed if you are in a situation where the enemy is like forcing you to give attention to him?
Here we are talking of Ravan as enemy. We are not talking about dealing with life situations. Of course, we need some approach to deal with life events, but emphasis in our discussion, the enemy we are talking about is the Ravan, the lower consciousness, enemy within.
Okay, that helps. And do we have to focus and fight each head of Ravan one by one?
And there are two, we mentioned yesterday, we have to work on many fronts. And one thing is you stay in the sky, you nourish that higher consciousness, and all the heads of Ravan become smaller. If I use the sketch that some of you saw this in our earlier retreats, we saw that if there is a photograph of the soul, if you were to take a selfie, you might be surprised to see the many eye there, and many of these we might not even have seen even. We are so busy with our life that there is no time to observe what is going on inside. Sure, but now we have the option to create time to nourish this soul consciousness. As this soul consciousness grows, all these different heads of Ravan, they become smaller. As the light increases, darkness becomes less. So they all become weaker in the environment of knowledge and clarity. But if you observe some of them, that becomes extra help to remove it. And some of the strong ones, we may have to pay extra attention that they don't get nourishment.
That's helpful to know where to focus. One comment from the Chinese group: want to understand how to recognize and accurately discern what Maya is to get victory. Big subject.
The more we get the soul awareness right, that creates a contrast. Our whole game is seeing the contrast. And when there is no contrast, people feel they have no Maya even. They don't see there is anything wrong. So for us, this understanding there is see the perspective of the soul clearly. Soul that is, as was described, one whose life is in truth and wisdom, whose world is world of immortality, his family of immensely lovely, Ravan free. That's our starting position and eternal truth of all souls. They are Ravan free. If they are Ravan free, they are immensely lovely. What we do not like in anyone else is Ravan, that's all. Anything we do not like in anyone, it is some element of Ravan. And so that same Ravan within us, that is what will be the problem for the world also and for me. And so we are here, we are seeing clean life of a soul that is Ravan free. That becomes a contrast for yourself to see what this life is, where there is full 100% clarity, 100% soul consciousness. Yeah.
Thank you. One thing that Baba says is to keep oneself busy. So it'd be interesting to understand more specifically what is meant, because the comment was they find themselves being busy the whole day, but maybe not in the right way. So would you like just to say a couple of things about how we know we're busy in the right way?
Yeah. Idle mind is the devil's workshop. So it is more the mind has to be kept busy, and keep the mind busy with Ram. Ordinarily, mind is kept busy. Everyone's mind is immensely busy. But busy for what? 10 heads of Ravana are competing to use the mind. So you have to be before, you have to act before Ravan takes over and create time to use mind for Ram. So if you are using mind for thinking of knowledge, churning knowledge, experiencing different aspects of knowledge, remember Ram, just remaining soul conscious. Mind is such a thing. Mind can just have one experience at any one moment. It cannot have two experiences. It cannot have two thoughts. It can have only one thought at any one moment. So keeping mind busy at this level.
Yes, hope that helps. Baba says we should be at peace with our enemy. does this not apply with Ravan instead of fighting?
Peace with enemy, who says and when?
Yeah, well, this is one comment. Maybe it's like in life, if there is someone provoking you, it's like takes two hands to clap. So one is encouraged to not react and but respond with peace. So that's like one perceived idea of enemy.
Yeah,
So
sure,
in
sure.
this case with Ravan, how if the idea of fighting will only antagonize the enemy? So what's the
Yeah, sure. Even though we are using this language, Ravan and enemy, this sort of a language may used, and what we are really dealing with is ignorance. Even though that it is personified, this whole thing, but we are overcoming the ignorance, and in the environment of ignorance, within ourselves, this ego takes birth, and that is what we have to overcome. So we want to, whether that Ravan within us, this lower consciousness, it is absolutely stubborn, and it wants to get bigger. So if you just create peace, he will rule you. Ravan will rule you. If your aim is to come out of ignorance and come in the truth, then this has to be removed with that determination. So there is no entity, that soul or some living being called Ravan, and you are trying to punish. That is not happening. It is the lower consciousness and ignorance that you are dealing with. We want to love the souls, and we want to love animals, and there is no enemy anywhere. But if there is the term enemy used, it is towards ignorance. Why? Because that is the cause of sorrow from the beginning, middle, end to everyone, to you and those around you.
nice? Thank you. So I don't know if you wanted to continue with the subject.
Yes, and we can move to the slides. And just want to share a few thoughts on this. What we are going to see next, some slides on the brain, and showing certain functions that happen within us. And why do we need to know this? Because we are made to function in a paradoxical way. And victory depends also on understanding our possibilities. So we'll see the slides and some discussion after the slides. So that is just British humor. It is, but we are going to go to the other slides very soon. So we are going to see the grand, very important subject for us, the brain. And over the last I should say, 50 years, so much work has been done, so much research, partly because of technology helping in this. We know a lot about brain, but our discussion today is something very basic. We have got these two hemispheres in the brain, left and right, and these two sides do very different functions. For example, left side does functions as is shown there. And the right side, it does different functions. So left side brain deals with functions like science and mathematics and logic and reason, language, analysis. These are the sort of functions happening on the left side. And the right side, like faces, means recognizing faces, the understanding patterns, art, creativity, intuition. Holistic means seeing the bigger map, bigger pictures. These functions happen on the right side. If you are to see what is the common factor in the left side functions, would you like to answer? What is the one, can you see a common factor? All the functions that are seen, what is connecting them all? And what is it that connects the functions on the right side? Even though we are talking about the brain, these are the functions happening at the level of the soul. We are just using the brain, but understand, even the brain, it exists the way it exists because the soul is seeing this way.
So some thoughts tangible, and one is seeing rational, so it's reason versus intuition.
Sure.
Or maybe physical versus non-physical. Left is linear, right is circular.
Okay. Okay, in computer language, the left side functions are called serial processing, and right side functions are called parallel processing. I'll explain what it means. That is all these functions that you see there. For example, language. You go one sentence followed by the next sentence, followed by the next sentence. That is step by step by step. Same thing happens in mathematics, same thing happens in logic. There are steps. Right side, like you meet your friend after 10 years. You recognize him in 1 second. It is not going step by step. You get some great idea, it is in 1 second. So these are called parallel processing. Another way of seeing these left side functions, they go into expansion. Like science, you go into so much detail, and then they understand about atom. They want to know, okay, further what is within the atom. Go into further details, further expansion. Everything goes into such exploration. Whereas the right side deals with the essence. And we have got these two sides. Nature has made us with the left hemisphere and right hemisphere. And there is a reason, because we are made to live in this world with these two dimensions, expansion and essence. And these two sides are like two wings of a bird. When the both wings are strong, bird can fly. If the bird was to have just one wing, very strong, but other wing is missing, he cannot fly. Now, question for us, our present, our education system. Are we giving attention to the two sides? Or are we balanced? Are we creating a society that is to fly, or are we making them to flap around and just stay on the ground? Just something to question. This is a portrait of Newton, and at a very young age, he comes out with lots of immensely useful things in physics. But if you read his notes, handwritten notes, he was master of Trinity College in Cambridge, and his notes are there in Trinity College. And some people who are doing studies on Newton, they read his notes. Prisca sapienza, that is a famous term he used for ancient wisdom. And what he is writing there are spiritual ideas. And they are not going into the physics books, mathematics books. But in his life, it appears that there was a balance, in his own way. And because of that balance, here is one personality that achieved excellence. There are many scientists, but some scientists achieve excellence. Here is another big name in the field of science, Einstein. And again, you see, if you go into his life, there is some level of balance, and as a result was able to achieve excellence. This is a statement by Einstein. Science without religion is lame. There are many scientists who might say, I don't want to do anything with religion. That is superstition. But father of modern science, he says, science without religion is lame. He also says, religion without science is blind. So, big question for us, when in our lives are we naturally balanced? You can answer. Do you think there is some time in our life, natural life, our routine, is there a time when we are balanced? Some say when we are asleep, but the question is, during our waking state, is there any balance?
One comment is in our early childhood.
Sure.
When we play.
Sure.
When we're in a flow, when we feel nourished and full.
Good. Very good.
When the both sides are functioning together, or when we're being creative or serving.
Good, very good. So here we are saying the play is one very interesting area when we are balanced. And we will try and see what is happening when we are playing. We also saw their natural instinct of a child is to play. All cultures, all background, up to a certain age, they see everything as a potential toy, and their life is to play. So here is the brain. We are seeing the brain, and let us take an example. Say today, right now, and instead of this discussion and retreat, we say for the next half an hour, we are going to play. There is no discussion, but there's going to be a game. maybe online game. We should invent an online game. But if we have to play, some gathering, two teams, and you are playing, instantly in your thinking, you start thinking, okay, for the next half an hour, it is just going to be a game, and it is going to be fun. This is the way you are thinking inside, and it doesn't matter whether you win, lose, doesn't matter. And the bigger life, you are playing for half an hour, but your life is not affected by this 1 hour, half an hour play, and it is not really serious. Whether you win, play, it is not affecting your life. You love those who are playing against you, and you accept whether you score more or less. Lightness. So these are all reactions from the right brain. So this is the way you are in a play. If we are literally going to play next half an hour, this is the natural reaction that will come, and that is, we can attribute it to the right hemisphere in today's language. Now the left side kicks in. We are playing, it is still a play, but left side kicks in, and you are playing that game for half an hour, but you want to win, and you want to score, and you use your experience, and you are competitive, and you are saying it is serious. You are the one who said it is not serious, and you are the same one who is saying it is serious, and you work hard. This is what everyone will be doing. These are the observations from all of us when you are playing any game, so that is table tennis or balls, any kind of game you are playing in a team. These are the paradoxical functions you will see. Part of you is saying it is not serious, it is fun because it is just a game. And another side of you says you want to win, and you are saying it is serious. Only when, so the left side deals with expansion, and follows the rules and works hard. All this, it goes into the details. As we said, nature has made us with the left side and the right side. Nature has made us with two wings, and when both wings are used, you achieve excellence. You fly. And this is what you are seeing when someone is playing. It is bringing out something best in him. A play is the time when someone is running and jumping and falls and gets scratched, and others jump on top of him, may get injured, and he feels he had a great time. So something right about that energy of play. He's performing best. He's very creative. He solves different situations come. He solves them in a fraction of a second, and at the same time achieves something extraordinary. Anyone want to add anything? Say anything?
I think there was just a comment about how does silence fit in with this? Where does it? Is it when we are balanced, then the mind is silent?
Silence by itself, is an independent thing. Here we are first understanding our positioning in this world.
Yes. And how do we come back to the play mode?
How we come back? Yes, we'll see this, very soon. In one sense, we have seen, but we'll repeat also. So let us see, if we are to. This is what we have seen is half an hour play, and these are the reactions we'll get. We are asking, can we bring this, personality? Can we bring this thinking in our life? Here, showing some examples of actual players. So this is Wimbledon Central Court, and in 2001, this player, he lost in the finals. He reached the finals and he lost. And the reason he lost, he was nervous. So here is the one who has got all the skills, and he is reaching the finals of international match. And every serve that he was serving was hitting the net. He was missing, and the other player, there was no game even. Other player don't have to play even to win this game. So what happens? Here is one who has got skills. How come he couldn't use his skills? All this time, until the finals, all along, he's saying this is a game, this is fun. And so the right wing was strong. Right brain attitude was powerful. And when the right wing is strong, he could use the left wing. Left side deals with skills. So he was able to achieve excellence. When he reaches finals, he says, this is not fun anymore. This is finals. So the moment that he used this language, this is finals and this is serious, the right side got paralyzed. And when he cannot use the right wing, he cannot use the left wing either. He got skills, that's why he reaches finals, but he couldn't use the left wing. We all know this, in different ways we have experienced along these lines. We are just seeing how it affects. Another example here. It appears like a Cambridge. This is one of the typical Cambridge scene. But this photograph is not Cambridge. It is a pavement about 2 meters broad and let us say 100 meters long. And you are asked to walk from one end to the other end, just walking. But very strict, you shouldn't walk on the grass. You should stay just on the pavement. Don't go into the grass. Very strict. Possible? You can do this?
Yes, this is possible.
Can you run from one
Yes.
end to the other? You ride bicycle?
Yes.
Yes, that's excellent. So you got skills. Now let us see this another scene. You see that bridge connecting the two sides in that. It is the same pavement, 2 meters broad at 1,000 meters above sea levels. And there are no side railings because there are no side railings in the other pavement either. So just a pavement connecting two mountains. Are you happy to walk and run and ride a bicycle? Are you able to do this?
No, there are comments, not easy, not possible.
Not possible. Now you got skills, and why it is not possible? You saw you were able to run even when it was in the other situation. All that happened was your right side said, this is not going to be fun. And moment your right side is paralyzed, the left side, even though you got skills, you couldn't use them. Just as, with that player, he got skills, but he couldn't use them. It is quite extraordinary. The mind, you can whether the pavement was 1,000 meters above or it can be 1 meter above. If you tell yourselves that this is serious, and then your reactions will be different. If you are in the fun, you are in the play mode, then you discover your own skills. So what it tells us, at present we are not balanced as a society, as individuals, and as a result, we are living a handicapped life. Just like a person who, he may be crawling. He's not walking or running on the pavement, he will crawl. In the same way, we are crawling in our various functions, even though we have potential to do differently. In what way we are handicapped? Handicapped at the emotional level, handicapped at the intellectual level, and handicapped at every level, physical. Emotional, we saw earlier, this mind that is victim mentality, beggar mentality, that is intellectually and emotionally handicapped. If one can't even see the bigger map when we are from the sky, that is intellectually handicapped. If we are using patthar, compulsively we use patthar, that is intellectually handicapped in a big way. So if we were to be strong on the right side in our lives, one is a game and sport is one thing. In our lives, if we are very strong on the right side, how are we going to deal with our life? Are we going to deal with our world and job and our city life? In fact, he will perform better, because as we see here, if you are strong on the right side, then you will have higher goals for your life also, your career also, but also for your town, for your country. Those who are strong on the right side, they can grasp a vision. They have possibilities to get a bigger grasp and go for higher goals. So he may plan to have, like, let us make our city the best city in the world. He can have that vision and think that way and want to achieve it. Maybe others will come with ideas and cooperate. Maybe there is no cooperation, but it's in a game. In a game, you play to win. You also know how to lose. You also know how to fall. You know how to start again. So it doesn't destroy him. Some little loss he is not paralyzed. He says, okay, let me start another town and let us play the game elsewhere. So he starts again. So he plays to win, and he is the one who keeps a higher goal. One who is strong on the right side, he can do something like this. One who is not strong on the right side, he will say, I better not start this because no one will cooperate. But as a result, there is a guaranteed failure. If you don't even start, means you failed, but it is a guaranteed failure. One who is strong on the right, he has vision and he takes initiative. Failure, it is a learning process for him. The game is like that. You may fail, but you learn from that. You move on. Those who are playing, they enjoy the process. They don't say, "Oh, I failed." That lower consciousness get stuck in some situation, and they stuck. And they are going to the therapist and this therapist and the psychotherapist. Whereas one who is in the playing, they are failures. Good, great. You are going to the next phase. Life's in a play, but here we are talking about life also. So one who is strong on the right side, he will think this way. One who is not strong, he will say, I better not start a company because I will fail. I better not introduce myself to this person because I may get rejected. So as a result, each situation he finds there is a guaranteed failure. One who is on the strong in that mode of play, he will say, okay, let us introduce him. He may get rejected. He may get rejected 10 times, but he wins one time, and that is all that matters. You win. But more important, he enjoys the process. You want to say anything?
Yes, one question. What about the awareness of self-talk? Is that what is there any comments on that?
Different. It's a different area. Here we are, our positioning we are talking about. Is this really a game? This is what we are asking. First, we need to get that right. Is this really a game? And should we have the attitude of a game in this? There are some traditions, even in the spiritual world, that is a tradition of ascetic, sannyasi tradition. They say you withdraw from the world, you don't deal with jobs, they don't stay in the city, you go to a monastery. Here, what we are seeing here, true spirituality will not be imbalanced to go just to stay in the monastery or in a forest or a mountain. That is part of the picture, but here you are playing a game. You need to be in the world and be involved in the world, deal with the situation, but at the same time you are understanding the bigger map. So if I was to show, this is the same sketch that we have been seeing before. In the sketch there is the home, timeless world, and you got a physical world shown in the sketch with the blue box. So that physical world, once you are seeing the bigger map, you see it as extra. Only when you see something as extra, it becomes a game. So one who sees the Paras perspective, one who has his home, he has his primary world, and he knows of his family, his life, is independent. He got that right. His world is independent. He doesn't need anything from the physical world. His existence is immortal, his world is eternal, and physical world he's coming, it is extra. It doesn't need to come here. The moment anyone has this attitude, it becomes a game. Just as, at the physical level, there are some activities you might not see it as extra. For example, your job, you might see it as absolutely compulsory, because it has to pay for your bills and you have to survive. So you don't see it as extra. But game, you see it as extra. There are certain things you see it as extra. In the moment that it becomes extra, it becomes a game. For Paras, he naturally finds this whole physical world. It is a PlayStation for him. And this body is another part of this PlayStation. He knows he doesn't need any of those things. He's never a beggar, never a victim. It is just a gift. And so he comes with the energy of that play, energy of the player, and the spirit of the player. And so without even understanding, he naturally brings that balance. You want to add anything?
Thank you. Helpful. Is it true that when we only use half the brain, or we're in this handicapped mode, we're not using the full capacity, but if we are balanced, we're using 100% of our brain's ability?
No, agreed. The brain has got lots of potential, but it is not that much using the brain that matters. For what we are using it, that matters. Who is using the brain, that matters. Someone may be using the brain for Ravan can use. If it is made very efficient, Ravan will use the brain. So by itself, that is not the aim here. What we are really seeing here, this understanding can help us. Just coming to this slide. There is a balance. At inner level, there is a balance. And what we will see, if I was not to have this right brain, left brain understanding, that paradox, one is two functions going on at the same time. It is like it helps us to compartmentalize different activities within us. As an example, we can be extrovert, and is it wrong, extrovert? It is not wrong, but it has to be balanced with being introvert. To be detached, is it wrong to be detached? Then we are emphasizing here detachment, but at the same time loving, fully detached, fully introvert, fully extrovert. Different aspects within this, you will find there is a balance created, and that is the necessary part. As you go further, we are using the language story. This is a camel elephant, no different to camel elephant. If I was to approach it with just ordinary thinking, I say, I don't want to see camel elephant. This is my life, and this is my world, and my family is here, and I don't want to belittle it by saying it is just like a camel elephant story. But what really happens when we understand this paradox, the right brain, left brain, you find, yes, this is like camel elephant, and this is a drama, and it somehow gives me permission to remain 100% detached. And when you go for this 100% detachment, you come out of that insect consciousness. You are out. And then you are still coming back in that same environment. You are still with the people, you are still involved with them, but now you are coming with the eagle consciousness. You are loving, and you are, there is interaction, and there are feelings and relationship, but now you are interacting with the eagle consciousness. So that is the shift. Once you understand this paradox, it somehow gives you the strength to play with these, fully, to be serious fully, and you also know that it is not serious fully.
So helpful. And there was a question yesterday about total disinterest and wishing for elaboration. And I really think this is the answer, why it should be done and how. And actually we gain a lot more and able to play the game much better. So I don't know whether it's a good time to take a break. I know we have a special guest joining us from Peace Village at 11:30 UK time, Sister Kala. So do you want to give a reflective question for the breakout room discussion?
Sure. Like this image of the insect and eagle, and see if what is the equivalent for us. What are we still holding on at one level? What is the insect consciousness for us, and how can we come out of this, gain victory over that lower consciousness? Yeah.
Excellent. So as yesterday, if you weren't here, we were just saying that it's great to create 10 or 15 minutes to discuss. If you're able to put the camera on, it's a nice way to feel we are meeting each other. If you're in the wrong room for language, then just click on the help button and we can put you in the right language group. And there may be someone to help coordinate, to give everyone a chance to share it if possible. So enjoy, and we'll see you in about 10 minutes. Welcome back to everyone. And we just create a moment of silence together before we continue our reflection. Thank you. And it's a very great pleasure to welcome Sister Carla, who's actually Dr. Carla, who's connected with Peace Village, which is close to New York in the States. And we're happy to hear your thoughts. We have the theme of true victory, but you can share on that or anything you'd like to share with us. And everyone has done the foundation or Raj Yoga course, and many are also engaged with morning Murli. So warm welcome and nice to hear from you.
Yes, hello and good afternoon, good morning. Don't know if there's anybody, good evening, all those things, right? So very, very happy to be with this group across the ocean. Is my sound okay?
It's very good. And you're right, some are connecting from the States, some Europe, and also we have a Chinese group with us, so it'll be evening as well. So sound is very good. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what a beautiful theme to spend time and retreat on, true victory. It's a word that we keep hearing all the time. Victory over this, victory over that, victory over senses. And yet, if you really examine your own spiritual life, look at your own spiritual life as a whole, it's good to take this time and pin yourself down to where am I on that map of victory. So my own experience over the last 30 or 40 years, of course, there is lots of things that I would say, yes, I feel like I have been victorious, but there's still many things I'm working on, and perhaps things that I don't even know that I need to be victorious over before I can say I'm completely a victorious soul, right? So there is such a large landscape of aspects of life that you feel that, you have become a victim to. And now all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but of course, very graciously when Baba comes, he gives us time, it's not overnight, but it's over time that we feel that, yes, now I want to really engage in this aspect of my life where I feel I'm not a victim to anything, including, and most importantly, of course, anything within myself. And mostly we find that it's this that we have to become victorious over. It's never the other person, it's never that circumstance, it's never that exam out there, but it's really something within myself that I want to gain victory over. And this is something that we realize sooner or later when we come into the spiritual path of Raj Yoga. So for myself, what is important in terms of, moving along on this path to victory is a few things. One, we know that life is unpredictable and it throws all kinds of situations and people and circumstances in front of us. But it's more or less the same principles or equation that guides us when on the spiritual path. It doesn't matter what exactly that situation is or who exactly that person is and what exactly our discrepancy is with that person, but there are some general principles and equations that I think you have to resort to and use them as you aim to be victorious in all situations. And of course, as you know, the first thing is this habit of looking within, really, genuinely, sincerely, honestly. The age-old habit that we had of looking out and finding what's wrong out there, outside, or with the other person. It runs deep, this habit, isn't it? And so we have to really be careful and train ourselves to do this kind of self-checking, and especially with the aim of identifying or recognizing areas that I not only need to work on, but I would like to work on. Right? Lots of times we know we have to work on something, but not necessarily we put our mind and heart to it and say, yes, I'm really going to go for this now, proactively, consciously, before the next situation comes up or the next encounter comes up. I want to really identify and recognize what it is within myself that I can be better in. So that act of looking within deeply, honestly, recognizing, identifying, even if it's a small little area of what I would call maybe weakness, but maybe it's not a weakness, but it's just a lack of sensitivity to using a particular power or a particular virtue that I have. I just haven't, experimented with it, or I haven't done it like that in, so far in my life. But this is a new area that I would like to use this particular power of, say, for example, patience, right? I want to be patient with this particular person. I'm patient in many other things, but I'm just not patient with this person. So proactively and consciously for me to say that, no, I'd like to try this for myself, take it up for myself, and really challenge myself. And again, look at it as a game. It's a game that you can be victorious. If you don't play the game, you can never be victorious. And yet in this game, I know that I'm not alone. I have a great coach. I have a great friend. I have a great companion that's constantly holding my hand, giving me the tips, giving me the strategies, what I should do, when I should do it. And so really to work closely with my own true self, but also with Baba, with God, and, really being hand in hand with that. And what I have found, useful in terms of strategies is really, always creating a habit of picking out one or two different kinds of awarenesses that I want to really sit with, not necessarily related to a situation or a person, but just awareness that I can connect deeply to what comes up as a weakness for me. It could be as simple as, like I was saying, I am an embodiment of patience in that particular situation. Or one thing I'm particularly working on right now is to be really feeling like I am a master of time, right? I don't want to be dictated by time. I do not want to be, because I know time is my creation, and I should never ever feel like I'm a victim of time, as much as I'm finding that, I have to pack a lot of things within that same time, even within the last months. I know that there's a lot more things I have to put into that 1 hour, but I should never feel that, I have to do this, or I'm being forced, or I'm being pressured by time. So how do I really expand that time? So perhaps my awareness would be something to do with, I am a master of time. I'm just kind of saying in a very simple way, but it's important for me to build an awareness practice, and a daily awareness practice, and perhaps 2 or 3 times, or maybe even more times, to build that awareness practice into the day, so that that kind of really seeps into the consciousness and stays with me, especially in those unpredictable moments. And then, of course, I need to watch my progress, give myself credit for the little increments of progress that I have made, and also notice areas in which, or times in which I really didn't do that great, but at the same time, noticing it and putting it in the back of my mind, not really looking at it as the front page of my newspaper, but really noticing it and putting it in the back of my mind, and just knowing that I need to go a few more steps, I need to go a few more miles on this journey, and gently kind of talking to myself, talking to Baba. And I feel that it's on this path, it's consistency that's most important. It's not even how well I did that's important, but how consistent am I in doing these steps of reflecting, doing the practice, checking back again. If I'm constantly doing that. For example, a lot of times Baba would say in the Murli that, when Maya comes, it throws you off. It doesn't allow you to remember, Baba. So what does that mean? Do I not remember Baba at all? No, but I make the effort to remember. Maybe I don't end up getting the feeling that I've actually remembered or connected, or I've gotten something from it, but I still made the mental effort, the conscious effort to remember who Baba is and what he can do, even if it's just an intellectual exercise. I did make that effort. So that kind of consistency, I feel, is very important in making our way through from a victim consciousness to a victory consciousness. And of course, yes, there are victories that we have achieved. Yes, and we know for sure that, the areas that nobody can touch me back and take me back to those old days. And therefore also be very, very gracious enough, grateful enough to offer those victories to the one who made it happen. And that is Baba. So I think these are some of the reflections that I was wanting to share. And perhaps we can open it up.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, you covered a lot, and even a question was answered without realizing it, about how you're doing your checking. And I think this recognizing what it is we need to work on, and picking up when we feel a victim, even in a subtle way. And I like this point about time, because we're told to make effort, time is short, but am I doing it from the consciousness of being a victim when we're actually told to be a master, where we are masters? So maybe we have time for one question. Let's see which one we can choose. Maybe one aspect. When will Ravan stop being burnt? Of course, this is, I don't know how you want to answer that. Of course, this is a memorial, isn't it? Do you see that we're coming close? Do you see this victory in sight?
Yeah, I was just picturing, I think it was recently this came up in the Murli, and I was actually picturing each one of us burning a Ravan inside our head. One is the Ravan that we burn out there, and that's symbolic, of course. But within our head is this Ravan also, or this 10-headed devil that they have represented as Ravan. My take on it is that, Ravan is a lot of Ravan is burnt. But what he has left behind is traces of Maya, and although they sometimes we kind of equate Maya to Ravan, but I see that as the subtle traces, that come up from time to time, and those are the ones that are difficult to recognize. So the big forms, of course, the anger, the frustration, the jealousy, some of those things in the gross way we might have identified and done a good job on conquering them. But they come up in very, very subtle ways For example, you know, one thing we always hear, any form of jealousy is actually a trace of lust, right? We know that, you know, lust is lust in one way, but when you're jealous about the other person, this person getting more and I'm not getting enough, it's some kind of a trace of lust that's there. So like that, I feel there are many, many traces that Ravan has left behind. And I wouldn't say that we have conquered all of those traces, but it's our journey, it's our task. Remember that last snake from number 98 or 99, what is it? You know, this in the snake and ladder game. So we definitely have to watch out for, you know, as subtle as they may be, but they can turn to be something big if we don't minutely pay attention and accept that these are areas that I am working on or have to work on. And this is why Baba always reminds us we are effort makers. Until the last minute, he even had said, I'm an effort maker, right? So always to know that I need to take power from Baba. I need to pay attention to myself. I need to be patient with others, right? Because if I think I've made it, then I have no patience with others. So how do I have the right attitude for myself as well as the right attitude for all my co-effort makers? I think those are subtle forms of Maya.
Thank you. And it ties in with some of the subjects we had a question earlier about subtle forms of Maya. So it's nice. And I think this point about where to work, and then you said it's never external. We're never a victim because of anything external. That the habit, which we know not to look outside, but it's such a habit. So not wasting time, but always see what the lesson is from inside. So thank you, Carla. It was very, really nice to connect with early morning in Peace Village. So we got the early morning feeling and the feeling of the atmosphere.
Yes.
So do feel free to stay on, and thank you, and we'll meet again.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I see Dr. Prashant there too. Thank you so much. Wonderful to be even a small part of what you're doing today. And after all, we're all moving together. So nice to exchange notes. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it is so nice to get connected to Peace Village whilst, for everyone
Yes.
from different parts.
Warm welcome, even in spirit. Who knows
Yes,
what's going to
yes,
happen in actual, but in spirit, everybody is welcome.
yes.
Om Shanti.
So we have a little time left, and if Prashant would like to share any thoughts.
Sure. And during these few minutes, let us come to the essence. As was emphasized, the whole game is inner game. The attention is inside. All that happens when we use the best intellect. Just the game changes to another level straight away. There is no comparison, between a life of ant, a life of eagle. There is no comparison, and we remain prepared for this. Mentally, to be prepared for a very different perspective, different life, not just a meditation. That's why the language, the soul wakes up and realizes that he exists as a presence, invisible presence. He exists as immortal being. And his world is a world of immortality. Subtle. Every aspect is subtle. Right now here Prashant is talking and it appears we all at a gross level. But that is happening in that anthill. At the same time, the soul wakes up in another dimension. And that dimension is world of immortality, world of the true family. All belong to this family of souls. All noble, Ravan-free region. That's why immensely lovely. All worthy of love, worthy of respect. Forever. This is a region of the family, father, true family, true father, true self. At this level, incorporeal, that is normal. Perfection is normal because all are egoless and viceless. When we use the word perfect, we are consciously, subconsciously are seeing that reference. The more there is the Ravan's department, we know it is going in the direction of imperfection. Everyone knows. So all we have done, just use the best intellect and we are discovering this dimension of the sky. True self, true family of souls, true father, region of immortality. And so there is no vibration of desire, disappointment. What remains is silent contentment. As we continue on our journey in the sky and on earth, we remember this option. We remember this beautiful truth. Thank you. On one hand, it appears there is a natural thing you are experiencing, and there is no battle. There is no reason to call it a victory. There is a normal state of each one. But on the other hand, even in this practice, ego will try to come in, appears to be talking about soul and God, and they are talking about it. But ego will come even in the language of the soul. Our language, I, that letter I is so polluted with ego that ego gets mixed in. And that's why that little discrimination, to get this victory, it is not enough just be innocently, soul, God, remember God. That language, which is all true, but everyone, half the population on this planet talk about God. But things get mixed in, ego gets mixed in. And for that victory, some discrimination to get the quality right. Let the soul wake up and let the soul see his complete independence from the things of the drama. And their body in a role, everything is in the drama. And let the soul see the independence. Then ego doesn't get victory. If ego manages to mix himself, language is God, soul, but ego is mixed, then ego is winning. The soul is not winning. Subtle. So our game is subtle, and we need subtle checking also. That is, we will be stopping soon. And any comments?
Big appreciation, actually. It is true that to believe in God is not actually, or to think of God is one thing, but to actually have victory, then we need accuracy and discrimination, detachment, and not mixed with ego. Otherwise, ego is becoming victorious. And as you say, it doesn't appear to be a battle, but it is the discrimination at that level. Maybe just one question that came earlier. Is the awake soul, so there's when the soul is awake and there is no ego mixed, is that consciousness aware of the lower consciousness? Is the question clear?
Oh yes, very much. It is a knowledgeful state. Just like if a robber comes in your town, it is good to know there is a robber. It is not a completely innocent, and no, it's a knowledgeful state. You know what is happening and what is possible. At the confluence stage, we have to be aware of robbers. All the ego, they are all robbers, big bandits.
Absolutely. So maybe as we come to a close, is there something you would like to suggest as a focus for reflection before, as a practice?
For the next 24 hours until we meet, let us make this a normal thing. We saw this eagle and the ant, this comparison. Try and see what this means for us. Do we want to make this normal, or is it just a meditation? Let us all see it as natural, normal. To our internally, we have to accept this also, that sky is normal for us, and that reality is normal, and you are becoming free from the lower. You are a guest here, you are involved at a lower, but it is the eagle interacting with the physical world.
Thank you. We know about new normal, but one step further is natural normal. So enjoy and staying in that perspective of what is normal, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you.